Timothée Chalamet has been acting up, and I want to know why. Reviews are starting to come in on the brand new Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown, starring Timothée Chalamet as young Bob Dylan. And so far, so good, it seems. Directed by James Mangold, who also directed Johnny Cash biopic Walk the Line, the movie follows 4 years of Bob Dylan's life in the 60s, covering him writing some of his classics, some romance, some drama, some record deals, and of course, talking like this. But although Bob Dylan famously lives an eccentric life, experimenting with religion and allegedly introducing the Beatles to weed, it's actually Timothy's kind of unhinged press tour that has people chatting. Timmy has been popping up in the weirdest places and also acting different. Is it all to get attention for the movie? Is Timmy just bored? Is he putting on a different vibe to channel Bob Dylan, or has this been the real Timmy all along? Let's get into it. The first stop on the press tour, which actually wasn't even part of the press tour at all, was Timmy showing up to his lookalike contest in New York. Yes, the Timothée Chalamet lookalike contest, the one that saw one lookalike get arrested and started this year's craze of lookalike contests. The event was so big it got shut down by police, but Timmy showed up, and it's still unclear if he knew about it in advance or just heard about it happening and decided to pop down. Either way, I think it's hilarious. Maybe too hilarious. Maybe this was the beginning of Timmy acting up. Maybe we hyped him too hard. He's been popping up everywhere in the weirdest places, like some sort of handsome garden gnome. Timmy showed up at the University of Minnesota, where Bob Dylan went, not to perform a heartfelt rendition of Blowin' in the Wind, but to surprise a marching band. He then went viral after appearing on ESPN, which for a lot of people is the last place they would have thought to find Dune star Timothée Chalamet. He was dropping insane knowledge on college football, and the show anchors were just as speechless as fans when Timmy started running off facts and opinions and even correctly predicted some stuff.
I'm going Jackson State, 8 wins in a row, 11 all-conference players. This should be a comfortable, easy win for them.
Breaking it down. Breaking it down.
No. This guy's a great actor.
In the puffer jacket too? Who is this guy? Some kind of college football messiah? He shall know your ways as though born to them? Is that? I don't know. Timmy then carried on his dude bro pilgrimage, and he popped up on the This Past Weekend podcast with Theo. The episode is super funny, and they get into a range of topics like all things Bob Dylan, divorce, New York. Next, he showed up at the New York premiere of A Complete Unknown in full Bob Dylan cosplay, tiny silly mustache included. The look was inspired by one of Bob's most famous fashion moments, which was the 2003 Sundance Film Festival, where he wore this outfit looking less than excited about appearing. Timmy at least seems a bit happier to be there. Timmy has popped up in some normal places for a press tour though, it's not been fully unhinged. He joined his former co-star Saoirse Ronan in London, where they reminisced on Lady Bird and Little Women. There are generations Leo and Kate, and they don't even know it yet. A couple of weeks ago, Timmy popped up again, but this time on the Broski Report with Brittany Broski. It was random to say the least, and he seemed to be in a silly, goofy mood. There's so many moments from just this singular 6-minute clip that were going viral. Like this moment of him standing there facing the wall, or him doing the Soldier Boy, or this moment, which we're all really jealous about. Timmy has always been a funny, goofy little guy. His absolutely incredible digital footprint proves it. But has he gotten even sillier? Are we finally meeting the real Timothée Chalamet? Or is his press tour actually just a work of genius? From the outside, it does look like a series of very random choices, but this press tour has worked. There's more organic press for this film than any traditional media cycle would have brought in for it. And the comment I've seen pop up the most is refreshing. We've all been subjected to some pretty intense press tours in the past few years, like Barbie, Oppenheimer, Barbenheimer, Challenges, and don't even get me started on Wicked. Their press tour is going to go down in history. You can't get away from it. So maybe Timmy just read the room and thought people were a bit bored of the traditional press junket cycle. Let's go back to something he said on This Past Weekend with Theo. I think it's really interesting.
And
that's a good point.
Yeah, and that was sort of blasphemous. Like every artist through the last 30, 40, 50 years that a lot of whom you can't shout out because they've basically burned so many bridges. But Bob Dylan was the first. He just wouldn't take no for an answer. He just was fired up. You know, now we live in a time where it's not only is it hard to be be rebellious about your art, but it's as much about the Coliseum's reaction.
He's super clued into that Coliseum reaction thing, and I think that this is what he's tapping into on this somewhat bizarre press tour. How do you get people who wouldn't normally care about a Bob Dylan movie to come and see it? Bob Dylan isn't super popular with younger generations, but any woman who's been on a date with a white art boy knows exactly who he is. Dads know exactly who he is. Music lovers and music historians know exactly who he is. But those people probably don't care about Timothée Chalamet. And Timmy's normal audience, which I can only imagine is mostly younger women, probably don't give a about a Bob Dylan biopic. This presents a small problem, right? If you can't rely on your built-in audience to show up to your movie, you're gonna have to get creative in bringing in a different one. How do we make sure men know this is a cool movie for them too, and not just Timmy looking hot on camera for the ladies? And then how do we make sure that women still wanna come? Well, men think sports are cool, and they love Theo, so go over there. And women like Brittany Broski and talking about Ladybird, so go do that too. It's kind of genius in that sense. Timmy also talked about Bob Dylan being one of the first artists to just not give a fuck. So he could just be channeling his inner Bob. The movie, A Complete Unknown, builds to the incredible moment when Bob Dylan went electric. And if your dad hasn't told you about this, it was a huge moment in 1965 when Bob Dylan pulled out a Fender Stratocaster and ditched the acoustic sound he was revered for. It was controversial for Bob, to say the least. Like, at the time, a music critic described the mood as if something precious and delicate was being dashed to the ground and stomped. That same year, somebody called him Judas from the audience. So yeah, his fans were not happy. But as Bob famously told in Beat magazine, all I can do is be me, whoever that is. So it's possible then that Timmy is following in his footsteps, deciding not to give a He could honestly just be bored to death of the endless press tours he's had to do for all the other massive films he's been in recent memory, and maybe he just simply decided he was going to have fun with this one. Or maybe he's honoring Bob Dylan in the best way he knows how, by just being himself, whoever that is. I think the world made a decision for Timothy about who he was a long time ago, and then never really bothered to check in and see if it was correct. He's been painted time and time again as a soft-centered, poet-loving art boy, and whenever this image is challenged, his fans get upset. Like, when it was first revealed he was dating Kylie Jenner, his fans went into total meltdown, and they were convincing themselves he would never like a woman like her. This viral tweet from one of his most popular fan clubs at the time says it all. Hey guys, I woke up an extra half hour to see if there were further developments overnight, and it does get worse. Whatever type of blackmail or threat she has on Timmy, she stayed the course because her reputation needed to be cleansed by someone like Timothée Chalamet. This sucks, but this is Hollywood. Or maybe, just maybe, Kylie Jenner is a ridiculously attractive billionaire who pretty much any guy in the world would probably jump at the chance to be with. Now that Timmy has clearly found a bit of freedom from the never-ending press tours and giving it a go in his own way, maybe he is just trying to show us who he really is. It's totally feasible to be frustrated at everyone thinking you're this super soft, feminine guy, and you're on the background like, no, I like sports and beer, come on. Either way, whatever his reasons, I'm having fun. I'm loving it. And I actually can't wait to see where he pops up next. Timothy's breaking the mold, which is really fun to see. I think it won't be long before other big studios copy this fun and loose PR strategy. And I, for one, can't wait to see Jesse Eisenberg give this energy a go for the Now You See Me 3 movie in 2025.